Hey everybody, and welcome to the Weekend Word. I am Fred Willis, and this week I want to do a very special edition of the Weekend Word. I want to share a few things that are true about Q. This week we lost Quennel Gaskin, and it's a definite blow to the musician community worldwide, but also the body of Christ. But we know our loss is heaven's gain. Y'all know that saying. It's a tremendous loss, though. And so in that, or reflecting on that, I want to share a few thoughts. This is the Weekend Word, so strap on in and get ready for this. I'll be sharing some things about Q, both personally and some things I've observed over the years that I want to share, and how they are guiding me through this, and how I want them to guide you maybe through that. So I want to talk about a few things that are true about Q. First of all, precious in the sight of the Lord is the death of his saints. That's from Psalm, the book of Psalm. And so precious in the Lord's sight. It may not be precious to us. It may be painful. It may cause us deep pain. It may cause us, different emotions, but precious in the sight of the Lord. So let's not lose sight of that, that the Lord is still in control. This didn't catch him by surprise, though it caught many of us by surprise. I was on my way to sleep. I had been up writing all night, and I was on my way to sleep when I saw the announcement. I saw it from the funeral home first, and because I couldn't sleep, I think I was up maybe another hour and a half. I saw one from the family also, so I shared both of those. But yeah, so Quennel Gaskin is probably your favorite musician's favorite musician, whether they've expressed it or not. He's a one of one. Ain't nobody like him. I've known him for now about 20 years or so. He's a beast on keys. We know that. But did y'all know he also played the drums and he sings also? I heard him play the drums one night, and I was deep in my envy bag. I was like, this don't make any sense. There's nothing he couldn't do that he tried. And I mean, when I heard him play the drums, I was like, he might be a little better on the drums than he was keys. But he was a beast on the keys. We know that for sure. But if you never heard him play the drums, oh my God. He sang also. He sang as well as he played. And if you've heard his music, you've heard him sing also. And so, he's one of one. We don't have to worry about anybody coming after him that will be like him. Of course, he drew comparisons to Art Tatum, Oscar Peterson all the time, but he was one of one, y'all. Not even the likes of Jacob Collier, Justin Schultz, Jesus Molina in Brazil. None of them, they are who they are, right? And he was who he is. So today we're celebrating the man one of one, Quennel Gaskin. But even they, we know people like him. We know people who are insanely gifted like he was. And so we celebrate him. We think about all of that today. He was my friend, though. That's where that's the inspiration for this lesson, the Weekend Word today. The Bible says that if a man wants friends, he must first show himself friendly. And like I do in a lot of musician circles, real friendship is real hard to come by, because whether we acknowledge it or not, a lot of our friends, a lot of our associates and colleagues are silently competing with us. And so it just happens. It just happens. It's part of life. It's part of the human condition. But who in the world was capable of competing with Q? If he was in your circle, he was there, most of us, as our friend, colleague, guide, mentor, and inspiration for sure. Even if you played with him, there was going to be a point in time during all of your playing, you may keep up, but he was going to take off, and he was going to leave us in his dust. And it wasn't mean spirited. It was always like from his joy. He drew joy from playing. He had infectious joy that he passed along as he played. And I learned over time that friendship with Q was not based on your skill level. That really helped me because I was like, I've had, people that I call friends that over the years, they weren't really friends. But he was a friend for sure. He was a friend for real. Spirit to spirit was the basis of his friendship. And so with him, he was the type of person, can you talk the word? Because he was going to talk about the word, not just music. He was going to bring that in because that's who he was. It flowed out of him, and it flowed out of him to others. It flowed out of him to us, his friends. Because you would be in conversation and the word of the Lord was coming. You better believe it. And I'm used to telling people about the people whose friend I am. But he was my friend, and I can prove it because as I was talking with another friend this week, I went back to my messages because I did not get to talk with him person to person as I wanted to before he passed. And I'm being selfish. You know, you always hear about people being selfish, you know, when people pass away. I wanted my time. I wanted to tell him some things on my own. I wanted to, you know, even maybe get a plan to say, hey, man, how do you want your music to go out in perpetuity? And let me tell y'all something. He's got a lot of music that people don't know about. I spent a lot of time trying to get people, you know, to pay attention to his music. He had music, you know, y'all. And I tried to play a lot of it on Soul Prosper Radio, tried to support that. But, you know, I wanted that time. You know, I wanted to say, listen, from those of us musicians who are emerging, who can probably, you know, we do our best to just set the piano bench down for you. You know, we just want to say thank you, man, for being a friend to us. I just wanted to relay that message. But, you know, we took care of that. I'll say that because I went back through my text messages, man, and I was able to say some things, you know, to him. He was sending random text messages, and I went back and I was reminded of that through the years. You know, we talked industry stuff, we talked radio stuff, how to get radio airplay, beyond Soul Prosper Radio, of course. Who were the people to reach out to, how to go about doing that. But he really had a heart for the kingdom, and so a lot of things he just was not into. He wasn't playing the game, y'all. He was not interested in that. And so a lot of times when you have a heart for the kingdom, things they come differently to you when world systems are the way things move. So he was true to the kingdom, man. He was true to all of that. And so he was an original. I told you, one of one. He was an original. We're all born originals, so we shouldn't die a copy. Even as much as he inspires us, I want to say this to us musicians, that we should let his legacy, his memory inspire us to be the best that we can be. Ain't nobody gonna play like him. I don't care who you are. Maybe Josiah. I'll give that to Josiah. And he is coming along musically, but ain't none of us gonna mimic him on a level to where somebody say that's the next. No, there's one of one. The mold was broken, and it's officially broken now. He was a man of capacity, though, also, who compartmentalized the many relationships that he managed over the years. I told you about 20 years I've been knowing him, but maybe the last 10 years or so, I got to know him on a different level. That smile, y'all, he was engaged every time he talked to you. It was serious. The smile was different. I'll get into that in a minute, but he was very engaged when he talked to you. You had a serious look on his faces. You know, like he's really getting into what you're saying. Even though he could laugh, he laughed. He was hilarious. We would laugh sometimes. The things he would laugh about. I mean, even while playing, you know, he would crack a joke, you know, and he wouldn't break stride at all. Just a great dude. Even though I wasn't in his close circle of friends, I would say that he was still genuine. As I'm saying, he was actively listening when you talked. He was hilarious. You know, while playing, you know, if something was funny, he was gonna laugh at it. You know, we're from Texas, he's from New York, so he brought that New York energy down to us, and he was one of the few people from New York that loved us Texas people. So that was really clutch, you know, down here, because a lot of my New York friends, it started out rough, but he, you know, man, he was true to the end. He taught us how to be friends, how to be friendly, how to love genuinely and deeply. And y'all know what I'm talking about when he would play and he would grin as if like, do y'all hear what I'm doing? You know, you know. And so many times I would be like, man, don't look at me, because you playing something, you talking in a language I don't even know yet. Oh man, but seriously, on a deeper level, he knew the word and held a very deep conviction about that. Y'all know when he was playing, I remember we were at a funeral, and just during talk music, I think he was looking at us the whole time, just, you know, like, am I killing or what? And he was. We were like, oh my God. But even in casual conversation, y'all, suddenly the word of the Lord would come out in the conversation, and before you know it, he was speaking the word of the Lord over you. If he had something to say to you, he'd say, man, call me, give me a call. And if you didn't call, he was calling you. I can attest to that myself. And I'm not just saying these things about him because he died. I'm saying them because he lived. You know, we tend to make people saints. Everybody's a saint when they die, but he was a saint while he lived. And nobody's perfect, so don't even come my way with that. But I'm telling you what I experienced. I tried to do something in last November. I wanted to set it up because I just wanted to feature his amazing gift one more time, especially at the church I was at. I wanted to stream it and do all of this other kind of stuff. I knew he has music. Come on, man. But we didn't get to do it. We didn't get to do it. And again, he said, I said, what's a good day I can call, share the details with you, get information from you about how to best make it happen, how to go about doing it. And he messaged back. He was like, call me this day and I didn't call. He said, hey, did you get my message? I was like, oh, okay. Yes, I did, sir. I'm going to call you. I'm going to get right on that. And so I wanted to talk again, as I said, on a deeper level with him once he took ill, especially in these last couple of months. And I wanted to call him because knowing about it, I watched the video when he made the announcement that he was entering treatment and things like that. And I had a song that I was singing, and I said, I want to get this to him, but I wanted to set it up in a certain kind of way. I wanted to make sure that it was to his benefit. Otherwise, I wouldn't do anything with it, which I now won't. But the song was simple. It just said, Lord, do it for Q. And, in math, Q can be used as a variable. So I said, not only Q, we have other members of the musical community. We have members of our family, other friends that we want the Lord to do something with. And it's a song that I sang as I prayed for him. And as I, would think of him, I would sing that song. And so, he's somebody that we didn't talk all the time, but the connection was there. The connection was there. And as he showed up at the benefit, we made sure that we, got our connection in and said, hey, man, love you, praying for you. He was like, hey, how's the family? I was like, oh, my God. So he would send those kind of messages, throughout the year. Father's Day, he sent something, say, man, you're a great father. And I was like, what? So, yeah. A lot of us are feeling this on different levels, feeling a lot of different things and having thoughts and emotions about this. But, this was a great guy, not just somebody, people are just saying stuff. No, this guy was genuine. And I want to say something one more time to him in my own kind of way. I was selfish about it. I wanted my own. I wanted to make sure he understood from me how I felt and all of those things. And I was feeling a way about it. So I reached out to another friend about it, and he said, man, you always try to reach out to people. You always do that. You good. And I was like, but this one, I'm feeling a way about this one. But talking to him, he set me on the right path. And what I wanted to do for Q, I learned in talking with my other friend. I don't know if he want me to say his name here, but he knows who he is. But I was talking to him, and so it set me on the path after talking to him that what I wanted to do for my friend who had passed, I need to do for my friends who are now living. So I began reaching out to my friends that day. I think it was Wednesday. It was Wednesday. And I began reaching out to my friends, checking in. Because the legacy of Quennel is to be intentional about the people you love and care for. Be intentional about the people you love and care for, about your friends, about your family members. And I've asked this question a long time ago, maybe 10 years now ago, because as men, we don't do this. We don't express this. We'll say everything but I love you. For some reason, that's not part of our lexicon. We have allowed it to not be a part of our lexicon, but that's something Q would do, ain't it? He would say, I love you, man. And sometimes he would just say, I love you. Something we got that from that Bud Light commercial. I love you, man. We put man on there to kind of soften it up. But a lot of us, we love each other. We have friends that we deeply love. We have family members that we deeply love. But for some reason, we don't allow ourselves to say that, to intimate that to them. But one of the things I learned from him is, man, it's all right to tell your friends you love them. You better be saying it back to him, because if he's telling you, he meant it. And so I asked this question as I'm working toward the close of the weekend word. Thank y'all for hanging in so much for this time. Do the people you love know that you love them? Do the people in your life that you love know that you love them? That's a serious question that we've got to ask and answer. Because if not, we got to change that, because that's what Q would do. And a lot that he was teaching us, and I've written about this, and it's coming out in another project that I'm working on now. What he taught us was not just music. It was about love. And so I want to close with reading from 1 Corinthians 13 verses 5 through 7. But I want to read from the Amplified version because I want to get into the depth of this passage. I'm in 1 Corinthians chapter 13 verses 5 through 7, and they say this: Love, it is not conceited, arrogant, and inflated with pride. It is not rude, unmannerly, and does not act unbecomingly. Love, God's love in us, does not insist on its own rights or its own way. For it is not self-seeking. It is not touchy or fretful or resentful. It takes no account of the evil done to it. It pays no attention to a suffered wrong. Verse 6, it does not rejoice at injustice and unrighteousness, but rejoices when right and truth prevail. Verse 7, love bears up under anything and everything that comes, is ready to believe the best of every person. That right there jumps out at me. It's ready to believe the best of every person. And that was Q. Whether you knew him or not, let me just tell you about him. He was ready to believe the best of everybody. He would encourage you, man, you can do it. You can do it. And it was always positivity coming from him. Let me just tell y'all this, because this thought came up. I got to share with you. I was in Germany, and we were touring. It was a small company touring, but we was making it happen. All right. And we were using a Yamaha keyboard for portability's sake. All right. And it was one of those Yamahas you would get at, Radio Shack or something like that. One of the upper end Radio Shack. I don't know the level, entry level maybe, or something like that. And it had its limitations or whatever. And so the company, the owner, she's finally said something, because we had the Core Trinity at the time. And I was like, I want to use that. You know what I'm saying? I want to do some other stuff. And, I'm like, why we always got to use this old funky Yamaha? And so she said, listen, the instrument don't make you. You make the instrument. And she said it in a way where she was correcting me for sure, but there was some encouragement in that. And y'all know Cornell could make any instrument sound good. I saw him playing more Casios and Yamahas, that a lot of cats would never touch. He was blazing those things. And so their humility and humble beast. I don't have to have the best of the best to be my best. Part of that. But as going back to this friendship thing, he's ready to believe the best in all of us. Its hopes are fadeless under all circumstances, and it endures everything without weakening. And those of you who've known Quennel for any length of time, you know that he was the same. We were at a recording last year, and Quennel walks in, and you should have seen the room. Follow him. Quennel is here. What is he doing here? And we were so attentive, to what he played. Because he had a presence. He had that level of presence about himself. He was genuine. Everybody was glad to see him. Yeah, and I'll be honest now, if you're at a church service and he walks in and people know who he is, you might want to start inching to the right or the left to let him up on the instrument, because he coming, But he was the type to where he was gracious. He would entreat you in his presence. He was not the type to come in, all right, I'm going to show y'all what I got, and show off. No, he was coming, and he was, as I said, gracious, and carried that humility about him. So finally, Philippians 4:8 tells us, I want to read this. Philippians 4:8 says, finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report, if there be any virtue and if there be any praise, think on these things. And as Philippians 4:8 says, I want you to think on these things. Whatever I said that was true about Q to you, think on these things. Take these with you. Let them comfort your heart as we deal with this loss. But finally, to his wife, T, his son Josiah, daughter Paige, and his entire family, people I never met, but people who are definitely a great part of his life and who help foster and facilitate this spirit that has gone out into the world and has touched so many lives. We're thinking of you as I close this, and we are remembering you in our prayers. Thank you so much for watching me as I reflected on the life of a real good friend, y'all. Things that are true about Q. He will be missed, and I'm prayerful about all of the lessons that the Lord will allow me to extract from his life. As we continue this, you'll see more tributes poured in from all over the world, the musician community, the faith community, so many churches So many churches that he gave his time to, gave his talent and his treasures to, sometimes without laborious cost, right? He was a giving person, and so he will be remembered for that and because of that. And so we're inspired to do great things. This is how we ought to live our lives, in a way that inspires others to also be great and even greater than we are, right? That's real legacy there. So Q, man, we miss you, but he's with God now. Precious in the sight of the Lord is the death of his saints, and he's surely a saint. I'm not saying that because he passed. He lived as a saint every day. He lived as a saint among us. And so all we can do, the best we can do, if we're going to emulate anything, before you try to emulate any of his stride playing or his blazing fast fingers, his quantum leap physics type of process in mind, emulate that. Emulate love. Emulate the legacy of love, sharing your life with others. Just be a cool person. All right. Things that are true about you. Thank y'all so much for watching. This has been the Weekend Word. I am Fred Willis. Let's pray together for the Gaskin family. All right.